Silver prices lagged gold prices in 2024. This is not unusual despite silver having a beta to gold price changes in the range of 1 to 2 times. Over the last 50 years, when gold prices rose, silver outperformed only half the time.
Welcome to the Morning Markets and Metals with Vince Lanci, where each morning Vince brings you the financial and precious metals news to get you ready for your day. And now, here's Vince.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vince Lanci. This is the market rundown, the morning market rundown. Today, we'll be talking about silver. I have three items specifically on silver and a boatload of technicals that we'll be sharing later on, not in this show. All right, 10-year yields. 468 up almost 3. The dollar is 109.28 up 20. S&P 500 is 59.58 up 11. The VIX is 16.23 up 12. Gold is 27.02 up 5 and change. Silver is 30.66 up 1.2. Over the last hour, silver has given up ground against gold. Started out up about 20 with gold up about 10. So silver's leading lower today. Copper is up slightly. WTI 79.46 down a buck. I have a lot to say about that. Technically, natural gas 418 up a penny. Bitcoin 99,336. You know, Bitcoin, all the headlines. Ripple's what's moving for the last, I don't know, 6 months. Well, last 2 months. Close to new all-time highs. I don't have that chart here. I have it on another screen I look at. Palladium 957 down 6. Platinum 940 and change. Up 3 and change. Gold, silver below 89 now, so 88 and change. Soybeans 1024. Corn 466. Wheat 546 down 15, down 3.5, and down about a half, respectively. Okay, so we've got three stories on silver today, not precious metals, silver. The first one, UBS has been putting a lot out on precious metals over the last month or two, and their 2025 report, Precious Metals Outlook, came out yesterday or the day before, and we have a copy of it. We did an analysis of it, we broke it down, and these are the key points from their report as stated by them. Last year, gold and silver posted their strongest annual gain since 2020, despite a sell-off following Donald Trump's U.S. election victory. Platinum and palladium lagged, finishing 2024 in negative territory. They kind of predicted that as well. A stronger U.S. dollar and elevated U.S. yields will likely remain first half of 25 headwinds, but should be more than offset by demand for gold as a diversifier. A nascent recovery in global industrial production should support silver and, to a lesser degree, platinum and palladium in 2025. It's a very simple key point. The details are in the report. We remain long gold in our global strategy with a target of US dollars 28.50. They're always conservative at the beginning of a year and like to sell downside price risks in silver ahead of opportunities to be long outright as gold rallies. For platinum group metals, our strategy of choice is selling the price downside for platinum. Okay, those are their key points. And this is their actual key point, as far as I'm concerned. Quote, silver prices lagged gold prices in 2024. This is not unusual despite silver having a beta to gold price changes in the range of 1 to 2 times. Over the last 50 years, when gold prices rose, silver outperformed only half the time. Okay, they did a lot of data work. They're showing just enough for me to see what's underneath the surface. But a lot of it has to do with the silver gold relationship, whether it be correlation, whether it be industry relationship, et cetera, et cetera. But then they asked the question rather rhetorically, but what happens after silver underperformed gold in those years, like in 2024? And then they go on to answer that. And we have that for you. They don't include any charts to that effect. It's almost like they're burying the lead. So we put a chart together for you. Let's see what that looks like here. Yeah, it gets bigger. All right. So that chart, if you're Gen X, it might remind you of that video game Tempest we used to play. That chart says, as we labeled, UBS says silver should outperform for 2025. Those are their words. What you are looking at there is the line graph is the price of silver in years going back to 1997. And the bar chart, the red and green candle chart, not bar chart, is the gold silver ratio. And the idea basically is, what does silver do in the year following gold outperforming it? So in 2024, gold actually outperformed silver. What happens to silver outright in the next year? So does it catch up, or does it never catch up, or does it lead lower? And that's the study they've done for 50 years, and we're showing a graph of 30 years of it. Uh, it's pretty compelling and it's logical. And while it's not going to predict price and it's not going to be 100% accurate, it gives a very good risk reward. And I'm happy to have discovered that, so to speak. All right. So that's their actual key point. We break it down later this morning in a full analysis titled UBS 2025 Precious Metals Outlook Silver Turn. If you click on that link there, it's going to take you to the post link before it's released. And then if you're a premium subscriber, you just click on that link and it'll take you to it. All right. Related, give you an idea, I mentioned that they have been doing a lot of work. Silver, another step higher in 2025. Another quote from them, going back to January 2nd, they thought $38. We reported that here. And in brief, we noticed that they had said something January 3rd. The report, but there was like a week between them putting out the report and the reiteration. So the reiteration was on their tactic to express length in silver for their clients. Certainly not for the faint of heart, the approach. We'll cover that later. The other two stories are, or news items are, one is from the community that I hang out in, from my China contingency. China silver update. Now, you may or may not know, Bai Xiaojun is someone that we have a relationship with. He's on the mainland in China, and we discuss silver and gold with him, especially under the umbrella of China policy and trends. And Eric Young, more familiarly known as King Kong, is pretty much based in Hong Kong and the US. And he serves as a person who connects the two for us, and we have a good time interacting with him frequently on these topics. And other topics like aliens, which I'm trying to catch up to him on that. Okay, so here's a summary of what Eric had a conversation with Bai, and he shared it with us. So he says, well, I'm paraphrasing, China has not enabled silver accumulation by its own citizens yet due to the CCP still stockpiling it for high-tech production. Okay, there's a lot in that, and I'm not going to get into all of it right now at this moment, but it kind of comes down to this. One of the key components to gold going up in price, in my opinion, was something, we wrote a story on it almost 2 years ago called China is Taking Gold Public. And we likened what they did domestically to an IPO. They linked physical gold accounts for their citizens to their savings accounts. So it's like you have a checking, a savings, and a bullion account. And you can freely move money back and forth, much in the same way that we do in regular accounts. And that was a liberation of gold ownership, among other things. They were encouraging citizens to own gold. And this goes back to them studying very closely the Asian contagion in 1998. But that's another history lesson. So when they did that for gold, they didn't do that for silver. And they didn't do that for silver because they wanted their citizens to buy gold for nationalistic reasons. And the question that Eric asked Bai was, do they have any plans to do something like that for silver, whether it be a new product, whether it be, however they do it with capital controls? And Bai's response was no. And his response was no because, well, his response was no because they're still buying it for the country. Now they're still buying gold for the country too, but this is a key point of why I frequently say gold is money, but silver is more, right? Gold is money. Silver is money too when there's no more gold available to own. But before silver becomes money, it becomes a key critical industrial element. Now, it may not be labeled as such in the West, especially not in the US, but it is. And China has been accumulating that for the last 3 years, along with India. Why? Because its industrial use dwarfs its investment use right now. That's not to say it's not precious. That's the kicker for silver. But anyway, they're in the process of buying it. So when you say to yourself, why has silver not caught up to gold? Why is silver underperforming? Why does it trade at a discount? That's because everyone who buys it wants it cheap, just like you do, right? So the US is happy with it cheap because it undermines its criticalness. Oh, if the price is cheap, then no one worries about it. It's a propaganda-ish thing. And China has been smartly over the last probably 10 years, but let's just say more accelerated over the last 2 years, been buying it alongside the US suppressing it. So the cheaper they make the price, the more China buys because they're not playing the game anymore. And if you think about it, China's behavior is basically as a stacker. I think, and I'm going to speculate, throw this out there, with the recent release of some seriously highly developed sixth generation military things, as well as evidence. This is me talking from a founder over in Taiwan of North Korea using China technology in its most recent missiles. There's evidence of that. You could see why they want to buy silver. I mean, if you're not going to depend on the US's military and you're going to be using silver in missiles, well, you need to get more silver to become truly independent. Okay, so that's that. And there's much more on that on the bottom. We have the whole thing. We have the links there as well. Sprott's new silver ETF. Okay, so at Toronto, Globe News Wire reports that Sprott Asset Management today announced the launch of the Sprott Silver Miners and Silver Physical Silver ETF. All right, so you can read all that. Basically, it's a physical silver ETF, so PSLV, if you will, combined with pure play miners. The question you want to ask yourself is why now? The question I've asked myself first is what's the play for us? So I want to buy, the play for us is to buy it. Okay. I mean, I'm not recommending to buy. I'm just saying the play for us is to buy it if I want what it offers. Okay. So the question, why now, is, believe it or not, similar to what China's doing, what China did with gold. When you list a product like an ETF, and everyone buys ETFs, no one buys physical stock, no one buys individual stocks anymore. When you list an ETF, you raise awareness. You effectively take it public. So the miners in the ETF will be held. What happened to silver when PSLV was launched? Well, you could say it's a coincidence, but the price of silver went up. And PSLV immediately became a player in the physical space, having been depleted of its physical on shorts during the short squeeze and their ability to take silver from other places. Imagine what it could do to silver miners. At the very least, it's going to raise awareness. So it's certainly a good idea. Now, the cynics out there, and I want to address those cynics, the cynics out there, I've saw a couple people say, well, that's him dumping his bags on us. Don't be a moron. Don't be a moron, okay? He's creating liquidity in the stocks that he has. Sure, he may have supply that's getting involved in this, but Don't be stupid. This is an increase in awareness. Okay. It's an advertisement for the miners. So don't be cynical. All right. So why now awareness marketing PSLV for silver? Okay. I think I covered enough of that. News and analysis, gold buyer is back, a slight return. Yesterday, early look, 2025. That's UBS's 2025 Precious Metals Outlook. We sent that out to founders, and that'll be going out today at 11 o'clock. Bitcoin cyclical and secular drivers, a nice piece by Deutsche Bank. We broke down describing the overlap, the secular drivers for Bitcoin. Most Bitcoin bugs know that. The cyclical drivers, some of you may know that, but putting it together, it gives a nice understanding. Zero Hedge had a free post called "Consumer Prices Soared Over 20% Under Biden and Real Wages Fell." That's the story. Other stories. Basically, Biden's going out, and they're in the process of papering over his run at the presidency. So this is a nice reminder of what really happened. And then the Wednesday PM post. So those are our stories. Plus, up here, we have these. I think I mentioned this already. Yeah, I mentioned it already. Moving on. Market news, museum news. All right. It occurred to me reading these headlines today that everything is either spun, which we all know, or it's late, or it's obvious, which is an overlap. And so I'm gonna start calling it the museum news. Not to say it's not valid, but when you start hearing about things like uh, investors have poured record amounts of money into a fund that spreads its assets equally across the S&P 500, that's not news to us. All right. Fed President John Williams said he expects inflation to continue cooling. Well, for the last 3 months in a row, it's gone up. So that's complete bullshit. Okay. He doesn't expect anything. He expects the microphone to be put in front of him for him to say things that make him sound smart. BlackRock attracted a record amount of new money in each of the final 2 quarters of 2024. Well, that would be the Bitcoin ETF, rocket science. Quantum computing stocks rallied Wednesday following a directive from Microsoft urging business to get quantum ready. That might be a counter to the NVIDIA comments. Might be bearish for NVIDIA. Anyway, geopolitics taking credit. So right now there's a battle between another zero head. Well, it's all in here, but this is if you're pro Trump, you read this, right? And if you're pro Biden, you read the other stuff. So basically, the Trump has been involved and probably instrumental in tipping a peace treaty, not peace treaty, but a ceasefire and the hostage negotiations. And Biden is pushing back, saying he did it, and Trump is not backing off. Our take, I'm going to give you a take on that. Think of Carter, right? Biden, you can, if you're completely pro-Trump, right? Biden did nothing, and he's saying that because he doesn't want to be forgotten or remembered like Carter afterwards, right? Okay. If you're completely pro-Biden, you're going to say, well, Biden pretty much got a deal done because he's going to be leaving office and he doesn't want to be remembered like Carter. And Trump got wind of it and inserted himself into it to make himself look good. The answer is probably in the middle. Biden probably was trying to get a deal done to make himself not look bad as he left office. And Trump probably did tip it to get it done because he probably went in there and said, Biden's the good cop, I'm the bad cop, get it done, or, things are not going to be good. And certainly, it's not a very nice testament if Biden was doing it, if Biden did initiate this, because he had 2 years to do it. Why now? Exactly. Because he's like everyone else. All right. Premium UBS 2025 Precious Metals Outlook. That's the link. It'll be at 11 o'clock. And a little bit more on the China silver. We have the more details there. And I have a lot on charts today, but I don't have a lot of time. So let's start with oil. All right. I want to start with oil. All right, so here's the level. If oil stays above 75.55, give or take, I believe it will go to $86 in a matter of weeks. So, do you want to buy it at 79, risking $4 to make six over a period of 3 weeks? That's up to you. But that's part of a Bollinger Band system that we use. It's looking like it's getting overbought on the weekly, but it is far from overbought on the monthly. Okay, that's oil. We have exposure in oil. We're sharing it because we're doing the work on it. Gold monthly is overbought, coming off overbought, but not really tipping that much. And you could see here a bull flag on a monthly, right? On a weekly, the bull flag doesn't look so bullish. It looks just more like a choppy range, which could be it. And we like gold, or put it this way, we would be a buyer of a dip in the 25.36 area. And why do we have that there? Because when you go to the daily, there's your moving average. This is the 100-day moving average. Remember, China definitely bought on the 100-day moving average. China almost definitely bought on the 100-day moving average. And now the market hugs and starts to break away. China and the biggest money buys on the 100-day moving average. And as it gets away from the moving average, smaller, hotter, more emotional money buys, and then it gets slammed. Back, buys, slammed, right? So here we are. 100-day moving average is your lifeline right now. Below it, look for support in the 25-30 area or the 200-day moving average, whichever comes first as time goes forward. Silver, that is the 100 and 200-day moving average, which was like this 50 and 100-day moving average in gold before. I don't want to say too much about this. The 50-day moving average doesn't mean as much. 100, these two moving averages mean more. Okay, let's put it that way. But you're seeing the same behavior in silver. However, silver's outperformed gold for the last month. So it's quite possible that at the end of the year, if you think about it, at the end of the year, silver got slammed. Those slammers of silver are now buying their silver back. And I think there's just more. Look, there's more interest. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't think it's going to go to the moon tomorrow, but I think $38 is cheap based on my position. And when I'm wrong, I'll get out. That's it. I'm Vince. Have a great day.
Well, thanks for watching this morning's Markets and Metals with Vince Lanci. We sure appreciate you tuning in and starting your day with us here. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Please note that this video is not intended as legal licensed financial trading advice and is to be used for informational purposes only. Please contact your financial advisor before making any decisions, and thanks for watching.